Let me share my thoughts easily here with friends, through your grace and always to your glory. Amen. Well, here we are once again with Trish getting to speak about Martha and Mary. Most of you know my struggle with this passage and my attempts to discern a meaning that does not condemn Martha or view Mary as the lazy younger sibling. So after reading a lot about how others, especially women, have tackled this topic and sending up prayers for inspiration, here is my key focus for today: distraction. Let's recap the gospel reading. Now, as they went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to him and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." Martha was distracted and worried. We live in a time of both distraction and worry. Many times the distractions are unimportant, yet all-consuming. How many of you have waited at a red traffic light? The light turns green, the car in front of you doesn't move until you pip your horn. They are likely texting or looking at their phone. How about at work? For me, as a business person, I have blocked out a 30-minute time slot in my work calendar to gather with a colleague and review a specific work issue. I am so annoyed when I have made time in my busy schedule for a meeting and the person who joins me in my office is constantly checking pings on their phone or smartwatch, or looks earnestly at me and says, "I gotta take this call." My time is as valuable as theirs, yet they can't get through a 30-minute meeting without losing focus and being distracted. The whole flow of our conversation is interrupted and lost, and the time set aside wasted. How about walking down a city sidewalk and having to move out of the way to avoid a collision with someone head down in a cell phone? Eyes up, people. Safety first. Distraction. The word literally means to be pulled away or pulled apart. Distractions pull us away from what really matters at the time, or the better choice, as Jesus told Martha. There is another word whose root means exactly the opposite. That word is religion. Religion comes from the Latin religare, which literally translated means to reattach. Maybe that is what religion is truly meant to do: reattach us to the better choice or what is truly important. Our reading from Colossians today tells us that Jesus holds all things together. In verse 17, he himself is before all things, and in him all things hold together. While searching for information today, I discovered something quite interesting. A side note, really. Coincidence? Maybe not. It's from the world of science. There is a protein molecule called laminin. It is a cell adhesion molecule. One of its properties is like that of glue, allowing cells to adhere, so in essence, hold things together. Here is an image of what the molecule looks like under a powerful microscope. I'll include the image in the email today for you to see. Interesting, right? Look it up. Google images of laminin and you will see this cross-shaped diagram. So, distraction, being pulled away, religion, reattaching, the glue that holds our spiritual life together. And now, back to my struggle with the passage that seems to dismiss Martha's hard work. Jesus never tells Martha that what she was doing was wrong. After all, Martha welcomed her guests with hospitality, and if not for Martha, all would have gone hungry. It wasn't Martha's act of service that Jesus commented on. It was her level of distraction and worry. It was the fact that she allowed the distraction and worry to become all-consuming and change that hospitable attitude to irritation and resentment. She lost focus on the real reason that she was doing all that preparing, Jesus. And all of a sudden, it was all about how Martha felt wronged, distraction pulling her away instead of attaching her to her Lord. Last Sunday, we heard the story of the Good Samaritan. While explaining the story, Jesus told the lawyer that he should be ready to go and help. Go, do, cross the road. And this week, Jesus tells Martha to sit and listen. Is this a mixed message? Which is more important? A preacher named Fred Craddock answered the question of which is more important in this way. There is a time to go and do. There is a time to listen and reflect. Knowing which is a matter of spiritual discernment. If we were to ask Jesus which example applies to us, the Samaritan or Mary, his answer would probably be yes. We are all different, and every different situation may call for a different way to best live out our Christian lives. As Jesus explains it, we see that even he does not describe a one-size-fits-all approach, but he always explained and always modeled the right attitude, the right underlying message. Sadly, Martha gets so wound up in her sister's apparent lack of assistance that her own attitude and behavior, her own worry and stress become more important than that initial hospitality, to the point of shaming her sister in front of their guests. We are called to go and do, to serve, show hospitality, charity, and love in our actions. But we are also called to be reflective, to listen for God's voice that will guide those very actions. Both are important. Serving God will not be helpful if we do it in a negative or resentful way, or if we feel forced. Listening and action. So how do we listen? How do we reattach ourselves to God so our actions don't get muddled by distraction? Maybe one of these ideas will work for you. Find a quiet space. Pray. Then sit in silence. Read the Bible. Maybe try the poetic Psalms. What did you hear? What stood out as the message? Read a daily devotional and reflect on the story or talk about it with someone in your family. Keep a journal of your thoughts, prayers, and feelings. Sit in church and listen. It is said that during Joan of Arc's trial, she was questioned as to whether the voice of God she claimed to hear wasn't merely a voice in her head. She essentially replied, "How else do you think God speaks to us?" We all know too well that we live in a world of distraction and worry. Do I turn on the news and remain an informed woman in 2025? Or do I shut it all out to preserve my mental health, but continually worry about what will come next? Is social media and AI a release from the craziness of our lives, or a distraction from what is needed? Is it real? Is it the better choice? We can't worship when we are distracted. If, like Martha, we are preoccupied with our worries, we remove ourselves from the here and now and live either in the past of regret or in the future of anxiety, when the only time we really have is the now, and the only place we really have is right here. We have to find our spiritual balance. It is the sitting and listening that will help guide our going and doing. Without that focus, without the time to listen to God, we could engage in a kind of frenetic activism that can lead to burnout and can fill us with bitterness. Our society, and even the church, is too often guilty of valuing busyness over focus. The practice of being present to the here and now, of having a mindfulness that is not distracted but focused on only one thing, is a teaching we find throughout Eastern religions and in all forms of meditation, including the practices of Christian contemplation and centering prayer. Because it is so effective, this practice has made its way into current psychology and therapeutic practices. But Jesus was teaching this way of being over 2,000 years ago. Think about it. Martha may look like many of us, but Mary is our example today. Know what is needed at this moment. If you are going and doing with the wrong attitude, it's probably time to sit and listen. Jesus said, there is need of only one thing. What is that one thing today? What is that one thing in this moment? It will likely be different for each of us, but one thing will be the same. If we listen, God's voice will guide us to the better choice. Amen.